there be a downside for our kids to all this hand washing? You have enough to worry about already, so please don't think I'm here to cause you more stress. In fact, the moral of this story is that I think we all need to stress less about hand washing. Stick around to find out why. I'm Penny Whitehouse, and if you haven't been to my channel before, welcome. I'm here to help you use nature play to create happier, healthier childhoods for your kids. So if you want simple tips and tricks that make getting your kids outside easier, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to get notified when I make a new video. Hand washing is at the forefront of our minds right now because of the coronavirus. But to be honest, if you're watching this video after the corona outbreak, then these tips will still be valuable. Because many of us have felt anxious about letting our children get their hands dirty even before this virus took hold. Firstly, I want to say that it's completely normal to be concerned about germs and your child getting sick. And let's face it, it's usually the mother who bears most of the burden. We're the ones who have to get up early in the middle of the night, attend to snotty noses, measure out medicine, and comfort our miserable child. Lay the coronavirus on top of that, plus a worry that your child may transmit it to an elderly grandparent, for example, and you'd be forgiven for sternly telling your child to wash their hands a second time because they didn't do it properly. But today, I want to challenge your perception on hand washing and talk about how to counteract the impacts that all this extra hand washing is potentially doing to our kids. If you're interested to learn more, make sure you hit that like button. This may end up getting a little messy. Firstly, is being too clean bad for your kids? I want to mention that I'm not saying here that you shouldn't be encouraging your kids to wash their hands. My kids' overall hygiene, like hand washing, is still very important to me. But we tend to think of all germs as bad, which simply isn't the case. Many germs are good, and in fact, there's many we need to stay healthy. Our bodies are home to an estimated 100 trillion good bacteria. 100 trillion. Many of those reside in our gut. But we depend on many of those for our survival. And we get them from the food we eat, and we can even get them from playing in the dirt. I would hate to see a whole generation of children grow up with a fear of germs simply because there's one germ causing chaos in the world right now. I want us to all remember that there are places when good hygiene is a must, and sometimes where it's less important. So right now, during the virus outbreak, yes, hand washing regularly while out and about is important, whether you use hand sanitizer or soap and water. But do you really need to worry when you're back in the safety of your home? Unless you have a high-risk person in your household, no, I don't believe you do. Sure, encourage your child to wash their hands after using the bathroom and before eating and cooking, but that's all we need to really enforce in our home environment. If someone in your household has a particular immune condition, obviously follow the instructions of medical professionals, but otherwise loosen those reins whenever you can. Here's the reason why. Summer Blockman, an internal medicine specialist at the Georgia-based Piedmont healthcare system, said that if you wash your hands too much, you're also removing the healthy oils and good bacteria that defend against disease. Blockman added that in her practice, she occasionally sees patients who use hand sanitizing gel to the point where their hands are cracking, and that actually gives bacteria an easier way to get into their bodies. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that I'm pretty passionate about getting kids outside and getting dirty. I know that a child's immune system needs exposure to microbes early in life, or their immune system may be more prone to attacking the wrong targets, causing autoimmune diseases, asthma, inflammatory bowel diseases later in life. Okay, so we've addressed that we don't want to overdo the hand washing, but let's briefly chat about what you're doing to your kids when you get over anxious and respond in a heated or irritable way about their hand washing. Should we encourage our children to wash their hands well? Yes. Should we show them how to do it properly while making it fun and engaging? Yes, of course. Should we repeatedly scold them, lecture them about how important it is to wash their hands, or stand over them to make sure they're doing it correctly? In my opinion, no, you shouldn't do those things. Look, we've all been there. We've all told our children to go back and wash their hands properly after knowing, and we always know, that they went to the bathroom, walked into the washroom afterwards and turned on the tap, let the water run over their hands for all of 2 seconds and walked out wiping their hands on their shorts. Lovely. While the random scold is probably not going to have long-term impact on your child, Creating regular and persistent anxiety related to hand washing could certainly cause a long-term trigger. What is a trigger? A trigger is something that sets off a memory or a flashback that transports us back to an event of trauma. Sometimes we're not even conscious of it. You may find that hand washing for you yourself is a trigger, and you go from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds when your child doesn't wash their hands properly. One of your parents perhaps created that trigger in you. I find that our children's behaviour is really good at bringing up those childhood memories that caused us anxiety or pain in the past. One of my triggers, for example, is when my daughter sucks the top of her mouth, a habit that she developed when she was really little. I remember being shamed for sucking my thumb. I sucked my thumb till I was 10, but that's a trigger for me. And when she does it, I tend to lash out at my daughter rather than talking to her respectfully like I want to. If you want to learn more about triggers, I would recommend visiting the Your Parenting Mojo website. Be ready for some hard truths though. It's hard to work on your triggers. I'll add the link to the description below. So yes, creating a repeated anxious feeling over your child's hand washing can cause a trigger for them, which will in turn bring flashbacks when they see others not washing their hands properly, or when one day their kids don't wash their hands properly and the cycle begins again. What are some ways to make learning about hand hygiene fun and less stressful? First of all, try really hard to be relaxed about washing their hands or putting gel on their hands. Be safe, of course, but try to make sure it doesn't become anything more than a moment in time where we need to be more mindful of hygiene. Don't raise it to a level higher. It'll take some work, I know, because we're all a little anxious about it right now, but it's so important to work on yourself and hold space for that feeling. I still stuff up when my daughter sucks the top of her mouth. Be kind to yourself and pat yourself on the back every time you stop yourself and you regulate your own tone. You're going to support a healthier child every time you hold that back. Talk openly, calmly, and honestly about the coronavirus or any virus that's out there at the moment and remind your child that they are safe. Then, when you need to address it again, they know why they have to wash their hands and there shouldn't be any fights about doing it properly. Try this cool experiment I saw on Facebook recently where you put pepper in a cup of water. When you dip your finger in, all the pepper sticks to your finger. But then you try again, you put soap on your finger, and when you put your finger in, all the pepper dramatically pushes away from the soap and your finger. Let me caution you here though. Remind them that the pepper represents the coronavirus. Don't make them worry about all germs. Here are some other tips for learning about germs. Read books about bad and good germs. When the coronavirus began, the library soon shut before I could get my hands on some germ books. I bought this one that I have been quite impressed with, The Bacteria Book by Steve Mould. There are a couple of pages that could cause anxiety for younger children, but if your child is over 9 and they're interested in germs, bacteria and microbiology, they will love this book. There are also a heap of hand washing games and resources out there. I'll link to a few that I like in the description below. And most importantly, I strongly encourage you to let your child get their hands dirty more in whatever way is most comfortable for them. So play with paint, with mud, with sand, with Play-Doh, with flowers and leaves, and let them know that it's okay to get their hands dirty. I have a post on my website with 20 ways you can play with mud. Just make sure they're wearing old clothes and have the hose ready. So it's okay if you stuff up and lash out at your child. We've all been there. And it's super hard for us to control our emotions when we're extra concerned about hand washing right now, or if you have a trigger from when you were growing up too. Reward yourself every time you let it wash over you and when you respond respectfully and gently to your child. And remember that if you want to teach them about germs, do it in a fun way that will create delight and show them a balanced view of germs rather than create more anxiety and stress. Children learn best through play. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button and share it if you feel that people in your life could benefit from this message too. It's always good to remind ourselves that our behaviour impacts our own children. I help busy parents use nature play to create happier, healthier childhoods. So if you would like more activities to get your kids outside, head to my website, mothernature.com, and subscribe to this channel. It's time to add a pinch of adventure, a sprinkle of sunshine, and a big handful of outdoor play.